Yes, our last guest is now quite a nice initiative and quite entertaining also. So welcome to Bike Piano Initiative. You already have the presentation. Yeah. So in 3 minutes, we are ready to present his initiative.
Thanks, everybody, for being here. So it's not exactly an initiative. It's more of just a passion project I came here to share with everybody. So I'm going to ride my bike from Norway to Spain with a piano on it, using only muscle power next year. What bike? It's being designed as we speak. And I'll get to the bike it was going to be here in a second. So first, I'm going to start with telling you how I came to be a piano cyclist. So in 2009, I was hosting a band playing a living room show at my house. Thank you. And after the show, they asked me about a local market, and I was really confused about why they cared about that. The next morning I woke up. I always cook bands that play at my house breakfast, and all I could see was their sleeping bags strewn about on the floor. And they returned in the afternoon with all their instruments instead of vegetables. And I was like, where have you guys been? What have you been doing? And they're like, oh, we went down to the farmer's market and we busked. Busked is street performance. And I said, well, that's cool. And then accordionist came, plopped his accordion case down, clicks it open, and it's just full of money. And I'm like, what? Wow, that's amazing. They dumped it out, and seeing a bunch of anarchists count money is a sight to see. But yeah, I was like kind of inspired by that. I had just started learning piano, and I thought, okay, this farmer's market is 2 miles away. I could potentially play there. So then I just started going in my mind like, okay, well, I could take a digital keyboard, but I don't even like playing digital keyboards. It's kind of boring. Nobody's going to appreciate seeing that on the street. Pianos are super heavy, and how am I going to move a piano? And then I just started thinking, well, people are climbing hills, doing pulling a lot of stuff. I can probably pull a piano. So I just got on Google, like all good millennials do, and just typed piano and bike in the search bar. And the only thing I could find, really, oh, that's the band. That's the busking band, Blackbird Rom, that inspired the whole idea. And I should put my speaking notes up here. It's going to be helpful. This is the Rimsky piano bike. So this guy's based in the UK. And I saw this and I thought, okay, yeah, he's this giant antique piano. I can surely do something similar. So I did. Not the exact same. I put it on a trailer. And my buddy Corbin there, he's a classical pianist. Biking it, I'm helping push back there. So yeah, this cost about $500 in total, including the piano. So I was just like, how can I make it done as cheap as possible? And then this lasted for about 3 years. This was just stored in my backyard under a tarp. I had no garage or anything. We were getting ready to play at the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah. It is snowy and cold. We went to go get our piano out. I roll it out from under the deck it was stored in, rip off the tarp. We go to play it. It's a solid block of ice, totally done for. We split up the work to get it all fixed up for Sundance. And we play through Sundance miserably for that week. It sucked. And it continued to get worse and worse. And we turned to each other and we promised, never again will we play this. So we made the decision to retire this piano bike. This is us playing in the cold that last season of piano bike. But we decided we got to keep doing this. We love it. So we started working on our next design. So we started a Kickstarter campaign, and we raised a good sum of money. And one of the things that we included that we needed to buy was a cargo trailer to store it in. And the cargo trailer that we ended up with was just donated to us. It was a lot smaller than we had hoped, so I had to design the whole build around that. So it had to be compact, and it also had to be very narrow, because we had been invited to play a lot of shows with this, but it's a little bit too wide. So it had to be less than 1 meter wide, and it had to be 8 feet long. Sorry, I don't know less than 3 meters long. So that's kind of what inspired this odd design here. By putting the wheel here, we were able to save all the space that you would have on a normal bike. You have a reverse steering linkage, and we made the design work. After I had built this, I was busking. We usually just bust at the farmer's market, but I decided to just go to a convention center in my city, and people were piling into the convention, and it was dead. No one was out. So I decided I'll just pack up my stuff. I'm going to go to a park and just practice for a little bit in the shade, because it was just blaring heat. I've already got my bike out. I'm going to just keep on riding. So I rode it to the park, which is at the base of this canyon. And I was like, I want to see how far up this canyon I can ride. So I ended up riding it all the way to the top of the canyon. And I learned some things about the bike that I didn't know before riding around just the flat city. One, this is only left wheel drive. And also, this is just muscle powered. This isn't electric. This is just an internally geared hub right here. But as I was biking up, if the road tilted to one side, I had to lean my body over to the left wheel in order to steer it and gain traction. I was slipping out as I was biking up. So that's a sensation I've never had. When I got to the top of that ride, I felt so good, and I thought, man, I really would love to tour across the state or something. I mean, I just rode up this hill. It was amazing. It was so fun. I'm playing next to this stream. It felt so good. I rode down that canyon just so happy about that vision of going on tour. And then that fall, I went and I bussed downtown. I did really good. I went to this other festival. And I was coming out of this driveway. And normally when I come out of driveways with this, you have to hit it completely perpendicular and get all the way out in the street. And then you initiate your turn. Because these back wheels, they better hit a bump simultaneously or you're in trouble. A car was coming out as I was doing that, and I had to initiate my turn too early, and the left, and then hit the right wheel, and I was off of that thing. And that's the one benefit of it being a tall bike. I was up and over it, so I was able to jump off and out of the way, but it came crashing down like you hear in the cartoons. And I lifted it up to assess the damage. To my surprise, these triple wall BMX wheels are something else. No damage, except I stowed the piano bench on top of the key bed, and that slammed in to my piano action. And I thought, this is horrible. There's no way I'm going to be able to fix this or make this work again. And I'm in the middle of the street, and people are there helping me lift it up, and I'm just getting on my bike, embarrassed, riding. Like, I can't assess the damage now. Just have to get home. I'll assess it there. After I ride for a block, someone I'm just like in my head, just thinking about the damage. And then I look over and someone's slowly driving next to me. And I'm like, hey, he's like, hi. I'm having a garden party tonight. Do you want to come play? And I'm in my head just like, I don't, and before I can answer, he's like, I'll pay you $200 for a half an hour. And I just said, okay. So then I went home and took everything apart, assessed half of the bottom part of the piano, not working. Okay, I did some quick work. Jimmy rigged it. From here up was working. Okay, I can make that work. So I went, rode it to the party. I played it, and I set up as far away from them as I could and played as quietly as I could. And they said thanks, they paid me, I went home. After that crash, though, I knew that I couldn't do anything on this. This was just for the easiest around town travel and playing, which is great. But my dreams were a little bit crushed after that accident. So I decided, okay, if this is going to happen, I need to start looking into different piano possibilities. I found one called the Carbiana that's made in the UK. It's a carbon fiber piano entirely. I reached out to them. Would you want to sponsor this trip I'm going to do across the country? And they said, that piano cost us $200,000 to make. It cost us $1 million in R&D, and it's a prototype. We're never making one again. Okay, that's a no. So then I started looking around a little bit more. I couldn't find anything, but then I was reading a Wikipedia page of one of my favorite musicians, Niels Fromm. And I was so shocked to find there was a piano custom made for him that he commissioned called the Una Corda by David Clavins. I reached out to him. I said, hey, David, I want to do this project. How would you like to meet and talk about it? And he said, I love your idea. Let's do it. So we went to Hungary, and we met. And this is the pianos that he makes. 1 string per note, very simple, straight strung, elegant solution. This is 100 kilos. This is a lot lighter than mine. But it's still kind of heavy, so I thought we would work together to build a carbon fiber piano. And we were doing just that in Hungary in 2019. I also, in 2019, went to the, actually I'm going to get to that later. So I went and visited him. We decided we were going to work together. And in 2019, I went on a bike tour across Sweden, or Switzerland, and then I landed in the at the Eurobike, 2019. And I had drafted this piano bike, kind of based off of the Una Corda design. And I didn't really know technically anything else but that. I just had kind of drawn the basics, bringing myself lower so I don't ever tip again. And I imagined some kind of tilting articulation back here. So I went to Eurobike, and I met up with Mario of Gleam. It's the same bike that the broadcast bike is using back there. We were excited to work together. I went to Vienna to meet up with him. We had kind of drafted what it might look like to have a piano on it. And he was even willing to strip the motor out of it because I want it to be muscle powered. Unfortunately, Gleam and David Clavin's shop both shut down because of the pandemic. So I had 2 sponsors for my project. Now I have, well, I'll continue to explain. So basically, I ended up hiring one of Clavin's workers, who I was working with anyway, to design the piano there. After he was laid off, I just asked him, hey, do you want to continue this work? And he said, yeah. So he got on board. I kind of did some hand sketches, and he came and he came to the US from France. And we kind of just worked for a month, really refining the frame geometry, the string scale, all of the important things. So this design is based off of solid half-inch, 13 mil carbon fiber plate. So the whole thing is going to be made out of one sheet of carbon fiber, barring a couple of the smaller pieces. But so a lot of people have been like, Eric, this is crazy to do this without a motor. That's ridiculous. You're going to have all your gear. You're going to have your piano. You're going to be traveling so many miles. Just put a motor in it. And I was like, I don't think that's what I want to do. It seems more fun to have the freedom to be in the wild, to be able to go with my own power and not have to worry about recharging. I reached out to a cycle blogger, Ali Dunham. He runs Cycling About. And I asked him, like, is this reasonable? What should I be doing? And he said, this is totally doable. You should check out Behemoth. Has anybody seen the Behemoth bike? This is over 260 kilos. He opted, I don't want to have a motor assist. This is built in the late 80s. This is like, he's the first digital nomad. So if he can do this, he traveled 17,000 miles around the US on this. It's a lot of kilometers. So I was like, yeah, I'm decided on that. I'm just doing this muscle powered. So I explained the route a little bit to you, but this is what that looks like. All the way from northern Norway, coming down, and then ending. So it's northernmost to southernmost part of mainland Europe, 8,000 kilometers. So like I said, at this point, I'm kind of like taking on the project myself. I've been collaborating with some people and just trying to make it happen. So definitely invite any input, and very excited about collaboration. So if anybody has anything they want to talk to me about or have any questions, I'm around. So thanks all for listening to my slide show.
So maybe you have questions. I think that was quite an extensive explanation about your project. But if someone has any question, we are here to answer. No?
Eric, you're a dreamer. You're a noble dreamer. So I see Luxembourg is not in your route, but if you decide to change your mind, you have a place to crash at my house if ever. I mean, it's so beautiful what you're doing. Why did you choose near the Arctic Circle to start? I look at everything else and it kind of makes sense, but why? You're going to take a boat, or what are you going to do? You're going to cycle up there and then cycle down again? Or do you live up in Norway?
That's a really good question. I wanted to do a tour, and I love piano, but I'm so busy in my life, I hardly play nowadays. So the intention is to start in kind of remote wilderness space, so I can bike and I can stop and I can play and I can compose. So the first half of a tour is sort of intended to be composition based and writing music in the scenery that I'm in. And then once I get to Stockholm, then I'm kind of like in performance mode. So it's kind of partitioning the trip into two spaces like that. Yeah. And also thanks for the housing offer. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah.
Any other questions? No? So, thank you. Yeah. Sorry.
Hello. I came in a bit later to your presentation, and I was asking me how do you finance everything what you are planning? So do you have sponsor or?
Yeah, so everything's self-financed. This here was financed by a Kickstarter campaign. This one, but this was relatively inexpensive compared to what we're talking about. I am working a little bit with a carbon fiber manufacturer in my city. They may sponsor some of it. And just like generous bike manufacturers have offered to kind of like help me just pay for cost of materials and time. So it's all out of pocket, but hopefully like also with the generous support of others. Yeah, thanks.
So welcome to Berlin. We are living in Berlin, and if you need some bed.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you my card. Any other houses I can stay at?
Making friends today. Yeah.
Yes, that's my Instagram account. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
So thank you. Big applause. Thank you for it.